Hello and welcome to another episode of What If It's Cool, the show where we talk about anything and everything that is cool in the world today. I am the World Super Heavyweight Champion of this cast, Daniel Paul Crow, and with me is the World Super Junior Champion of the cast, Tim. How we going, buddy?
Yeah, not sure if I'm feeling that intro, to be totally honest.
Well, I am, you know, I'm not going to say fat, but I'm big, and you're pretty thin compared to me, so you would be a Super Junior.
All right, look, yeah, there's a lot of cool characters from that category. Okay, I'll just take it today.
But we could go all day with that. Why have I mentioned wrestling terms? Well, it is another episode where we're going to be talking about wrestling, and Ben's not with us today because this is not sort of his forte. You know, he'll be here in spirit. So today we are going to talk about the NXT Super Tuesday show, particularly the 4-way Iron Man match. Now, to my knowledge, I don't think there's ever been a 4-way Iron Man match. I've only ever seen it really two. I have seen one, not obviously with WWE, with a triple threat, but this was definitely an interesting match. Tim, do you want to just run through just a little bit of the backstory behind this?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pretty interesting setup. So following on from NXT TakeOver 30, Keith Lee ended up losing the NXT Championship to Karrion Kross. However, Karrion Kross did suffer a legitimate injury during that match. I think it was a separated shoulder. And so after 4 days of being the NXT champion, he had to relinquish that. So that brings us to NXT Super Tuesday. They ended up making the decision to hold the Fatal 4-Way 60-minute Iron Man match. We've got some really interesting characters in this in this matchup.
Who we got?
We've got Finn Balor, we've got Adam Cole, we've also got Johnny Gargano.
And you cannot say Adam Cole without going, baby.
I don't think I want to really wake up everyone in the house if I do by doing that. So we'll just skip that for today. maybe you can do that on your recording.
No, I've got Aiden asleep in the other room, so no, I can't do that.
Okay, all right. Yeah. And then yes, we've got Tommaso Ciampa.
4 very great athletes in the sport of wrestling, all former NXT champions, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So Cole was the longest reigning NXT champion.
That's right.
Before he lost that to Keith Lee,
and
yeah, so he's looking at regaining that. All of them have their claim, have their reasons for why they want to get the championship back. But it goes without saying. But they did obviously say this during commentary that the 4 are actually looked at as the 4 cornerstones of NXT.
Yeah, and I was just looking for while listening to that as well. I thought, and this totally escaped me. But then again, I don't watch that much NXT because it's just not on my radar half the time. But I didn't realize that there've only ever been two people who've had the NXT championship more than twice, and that was Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, so that's going back a long way for me. I haven't seen any of their work in NXT, but yeah, just looking at like you were just saying before, that you it's not really on your radar, this show, but this one's a bit of a personal favorite of mine. I do enjoy watching it every week. They've got a lot of great talent on the show. So yeah, like throwing together 4 of quite possibly the top competitors in the division for this match, it definitely made me very interested in seeing how it would play out.
And the small fact that you continuously bombarded me this week saying, Dan, you got to watch this match. We got to talk about it. It's so great, Like this is what I have to deal with nearly every single day, folks. I have to get bombarded with Tim's messages. Have you watched it yet? Have you watched it yet? Oh man, we got to talk about this right now. Then emails sent to me, analyzing everything. And to be honest, you didn't disappoint with this one. Like I was really intrigued by this interesting concept because any Iron Man match that WWE do, and there haven't been that many. I think Stu Bennett. Oh, what's he called now?
Oh, Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett. Yep, Wade Barrett mentioned that this is the first Iron Man in 10 years in WWE, and sounds about right because if I remember correctly, the last one, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think the last one was Kurt Angle and
Brock Lesnar.
No, that was ages ago. I think it was either with Jericho or it was with Shawn Michaels. I can't quite remember who it was. I remember it was on Raw, and that was a stunner. But any Iron Man match that WWE have done has always been stellar. The first one that always comes to mind is obviously WrestleMania. Is it WrestleMania 10? Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Oh no, 10 was
10 was Bret versus Owen.
No, and that was the ladder match. Jeez. It might have been 12 then, I think. I could be wrong. I think I'm wrong.
All right. Oh, just having a look here. Just doing some research. Producer Ziggy has said that there was a 30-minute Iron Man match. Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins. That was at Extreme Rules in 2018. So I mean, they tend to remix. They tend to remix this particular format. I mean, in the women's division, there are the 30-minute Iron Women matches. What springs to mind, and I still haven't seen it because this is legitimately the first Iron Man match that I've seen. But from everything that I've read, Sasha Banks and Bayley, they had an incredible 30-minute Iron Woman match. But yeah, just coming back to this, I was like, well, all right, I need to check it out. NXT's my jam. And I had to drag you on board with it. I'm glad that I did because now we're talking about it today.
Well, the only selling point was Adam Cole. I do love Adam Cole. I loved his work in New Japan. Loved him in Ring of Honor. I don't know why I haven't really picked up on NXT. I honestly don't know. I mean, I watched the big, the takeovers, but that's about it. I never watched the weekly stuff. It's like maybe once in a blue moon I'll ever watch it. But I'm really glad I got to watch this and seeing Finn Balor back to what he was like. Because let's be honest, his WWE work hasn't been that flash since he's been on the main roster. I know you probably hadn't seen his early stuff in NXT, but it's just his NXT days were great.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when he was in New Japan, that was he was on fire. Like he was literally one of the best, if not the best, at the time when he was in New Japan. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, love them as well. Seen them in their indie works, and anytime I do see them on NXT, they're always hitting it out of the ballpark. So knowing that this is going to be great, but seeing Finn Balor back to where he was, and he was phenomenal. He dominated this. He dominated the majority of this match, which was fantastic. But we'll go. I was going to talk about the ending straight away, but we'll get into that.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Yes,
we are. But this was definitely one of his best matches I've ever seen, and I'm so shocked the way it ended. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's just go straight into the match. So the automatically start, and then it's just like a one-on-one on it. So I think it started with Cole and Balor, and then Ciampa and Gargano going at it, just the regular stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's all Balor. He's just kicking the living crap out of everybody, and man, the guy's phenomenal.
No, you mean Ciampa.
Ciampa?
I'm thinking, did you watch a different match?
No. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm thinking of when he just started kicking, like literally started kicking. So that's obviously in the first 20 minutes. Sorry.
So like I mean, in the first quarter, it's quite measured. All four of them are in the ring after they've entered.
Yeah.
They've had a sort of. Well, they're almost like a professional fighter sort of presentation because it shows all their stats and when they were champion or how long they'd been champion. But when things get going, it's very slow paced. You have Gargano doing the typical sort of heel move. He just rolls out of the ring, lets the other three, just lay into each other. Ciampa's in control for a lot of that particular part of the match, and you could say that there's a lot of talk about having the stamina to do a match like this. I mean, Wade Barrett on commentary, he he made a very good point that, you feel quite gassed. And even when he did a 30-minute Iron Man match, he was just completely out of energy.
Yeah.
So, I think to preserve them and preserve the energy of all of the competitors, they did that typical sort of thing where even though it was a fatal 4-way, they only really had 2 people in the ring at most times. And yeah, just 2 people just laying into each other.
Yeah.
But, having said that, you don't want to start off with, a bunch of finishers this early in the match. So, they do want to like have you along for the ride and try to, really suck you into it. So yeah, I mean, first quarter finishes, the work was really crisp, as was expected from all of them. And then it cuts to commercial. And when you get into the second quarter of the match, that's when things start picking up. I think when we were doing some, just taking down some of our notes in this, I was mentioning to you that they started showing a lot of those sequences, those really fun sequences, like clearly these are guys who've worked together before, but, when you've thrown all 4 of them in there, they're all going to be given opportunities to shine. And, I mean, what were some of your favorite parts around this part of the match?
The start of it was, I think, and this just goes back to me watching them when they were younger. Well, not younger, but just earlier in their career. I felt it was just a bit too slow. So I didn't find anything really that stood out for me there. But the one thing I need to ask first, who was the face coming in? Because it seemed to me that, well, it's just if you listen to the crowd, everyone was a heel at one point.
Yeah. So coming into this, I mean, this was thrown together last minute. I mean,
yeah,
this definitely was not the way that they'd intended for the NXT Championship to be decided. They clearly had a lot of I guess you'd say they had a lot of push behind Karrion Kross, but unfortunately because of his injury, he's had to relinquish after 4 days of being champ. So the character work for all these guys, it is quite interesting. They're the top performers, but they're all currently on heel turns. And I mean, Gargano is like, the douchey sort of heel where, he just wants everything his way. And,
Yep.
He refers to it as the Gargano way. Balor is, he had a vicious heel turn when he attacked Johnny Gargano earlier in the year, back when NXT moved to the USA Network. Cole's leading the Undisputed Era. That's a heel stable.
One of the greatest stables ever.
They're awesome.
I love the Undisputed Era, and I just want to quickly say, Roderick Strong, one of the most underrated wrestlers, and I thank God that he finally got signed to WWE. But I just reckon he needs to break off from that. I reckon he's a megastar in the happening. I think the breakout stuff from the Undisputed Era.
I think we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, like looking at it, Ciampa is probably the closest to a face that you would see. I mean, I think he had quite the sort of hero's welcome when NXT debuted on USA. When he returned as well, it was very triumphant because he'd returned early from recuperating after the neck surgery.
Yeah.
He also, took a beeline and basically took on Adam Cole in Undisputed Era. He had the very memorable performance in the War Games match. So he's probably the closest to the face at this stage.
Right.
But, I mean, I think with all the stuff that he does, it's still very heel-like. So, yeah, again, all 4 of the competitors in this, they all feel more like heels.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I thought it was just me being angry at the crowd because the crowd sucked. For me, like any match, like there's always going to be the wrestlers, the ref, and then the crowd. And if you got the wrong crowd, it stuffs the match. And that's what really annoyed me about this match, is that the crowd were annoying, absolutely annoying.
I don't think they've managed to really get the crowd thing right in WWE since COVID has happened. Even like, I mean, we're going to be talking about AEW in future casts, but even AEW, I mean, like they're doing what they can, but like theirs probably has a more organic feel surrounding the crowd with all the wrestlers. Whereas this, they're all behind the sort of, perspex screens, and yeah, they're just, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. And they went with more of an empty crowd feel for a longer time than any other promotion. But yeah, like I think they still haven't quite figured it out.
Well, when you've got idiots banging the barricades and distracting the viewer, because there's if you watch that match back, there are so many. Are they the wrestlers from NXT, or have they started letting random people in again? I'm a bit confused.
I'm not sure if they're doing live audiences, but I'm picking that they're using their talent to be behind those screens.
And it's the same. It's the same thing when before the Thunderdome thing came in. They've got idiots making signs in their with their hands or being distracting, and it takes away the feel of the match. And I don't know if the wrestlers realize that they do that, but it's just so bloody annoying. But let's get off that, because I could go all day.
You'll just keep raging. You'll just keep raging about these guys.
That's my main problem with this match, is that the audience just.
This is okay. Just one more thing about audiences.
Yeah.
The New Japan audience. I love how respectful they are. It's just a random thing, but like whenever I see a New Japan Pro Wrestling special, you just see the crowd. They're all just there. They politely clap, and then you just hear like a few calls for like whichever wrestler is out there. They're just they're not a rowdy crowd, and I just like that. I really do.
Yeah, again, it's like different cultures, and yeah, the Japanese just they respect the hell out of the sport, and yeah, it's fantastic. But let's continue. So
yes.
Obviously the
second quarter.
The second quarter. Is this when we got the first pin from Bell in the first?
Let's see here. It looks like. Yeah, no, this definitely did result in Balor scoring the first pinfall. So, this entire quarter, this is where the pace quickened. And so, if you were a bit bored with how it was playing out in the first quarter, this is where they really start to reel you in. There were some amazing sequences here. The one that I mentioned to you, well, look, there's a Panama Sunrise attempt by Cole. Gargano dodges that. Cole then gets caught by Balor, who goes for the 1916. There's an enziguri by Gargano onto Balor, super kick by Cole onto Gargano, and then Cole super kick to Ciampa is caught. He gets spun around, delivers a Gamangiri to Ciampa, and then he then knees Cole in the face, and then all four of them are down. And I it's just so much movement going on that I really do enjoy. And, again, it's a testament to these guys who know each other so well and work together so well. So, I think that there was quite a bit of magic in terms of putting all four of them together. But like you said, Balor gets the first pinfall here. There was a really cool spot. So this probably got a lot of enjoyment out of you, but I certainly got a lot of enjoyment too. But at one point, you've just got Cole and Balor in the ring, and then Cole calls for the 2-sweet. Balor responds. Do you remember that?
Oh man, I nearly had tears in my eyes looking at that. I'm just like, nah, because when they were in Bullet Club, I think Balor was already in WWE by the time Cole was in Bullet Club. So that's why I was just like, this is wow, and I was just thought for some strange reason, even though I knew the end result. Thanks to you for spoiling it. I was like, oh man, maybe this is a chance that they're gonna, finally team up, and maybe they'll once they go back to the main roster, they're gonna join up with AJ, and they're gonna find out, do another stable, and then all of a sudden, bang, Balor's going right back onto it.
I mean, he responded to the 2-sweet, and then Cole was trying to strategize with him, saying, yeah, you take out that one, I'm going to take out the other one. When Cole goes, thinking that he's got an ally, that's when Balor betrays him. So yeah, any hope that those two would form up as at least the tag team, that's been dashed for now.
What's interesting about at this point as well, I don't know if you notice it, but and this just comes to years of me watching wrestling. The only person, and I believe because he is the eldest of all of them, the one who was sweating the most was Balor. Now, it's not because just because he was doing a lot of the work. It's just because he is a bit older. But You look at the other guys; they are still sweating, but not as much. But if you had anybody else on the main roster doing a match like this, they would be gassed. You know, the fact that that all they were doing is just sweating, but not puffing or anything. That's a testament to how great these guys are, and that if they're at their peak, this is going to be fantastic. If they're not at their peak and they're far from the years from the peak, I can't wait to see what's going to be happening next.
Yeah, fair point, man. Absolutely. This is why I love watching NXT. You've got really, really top class performers, and Balor, you're right. He might be the one who's probably got the longest career, at least pro career, out of all of them so far. But he certainly did keep up with them. And even like when he got his pinfall, so he had that whole rampage where he was doing the shotgun drop kicks or the John Woo drop kicks to everyone on the outside. He then throws Cole into the ring, does the coup de grace, and then gets that pin. He just looked super dominant. And yeah, I think the presentation of that was really good because clearly, now at this point, ring psychology wise, he's got the edge on everyone. He's got the lead. So, it's looking like, he's pulling away from them. But as we see, so now we're entering into the third quarter of the match, things start changing. And this is probably, look, I'm going to ask you, do you think that the way that things played out in the third quarter, this is where it started getting quite predictable from a WWE perspective?
No, I'd probably say where are we, like, a timestamp wise? Are we at the 30 minutes?
We've already done 30 minutes. So yeah, we're into the second half of it.
Yeah, full into season. I'd probably say about the. Oh, I'm just trying to remember where because you're right, it did get predictable. I'm just trying to remember exactly. Now I can't remember if this was at 30 or in the 40-minute mark when Ciampa went to do the springboard, underneath the ring. But once he did that, and Balor hit him to save Cole from that, I automatically just started being routine after that, and it did. Wow. It kind of felt like, okay, I know this is going to happen, but you didn't care because you were just enjoying it for what was coming. I mean, if that was different for you, that's fair enough. But that's how I felt about it when I was watching it from that point. The only thing I will say at this point is Gargano, he was holding his neck a lot, and I spent most of the remainder of that match looking at Gargano, and I was worried because I'm thinking, holy crap, has he hurt his neck again? I don't know whether he was that intentionally or he was legitimately hurt, but I was very worried for him at that point.
Yeah, he had a pretty scary moment in in the lead up to Takeover 30. I can't remember, but yeah, there was a recording, and they were very scared at the fall that he took onto it, and I think he landed on his head.
He found it on his head, and it was one of the most scariest bumps I have ever seen in wrestling. And I remember watching the bump that Owen did to Austin, with the pile driver. I remember seeing that, and that was one of the most scariest ones I've ever seen too, because automatically you knew something was wrong. And the moment I saw that one, that was like, oh my god, how is he walking? How is it? And he was lucky enough that he was just in pain for a couple of days. That was it. But when I was looking at this match and just seeing the amount of times he was holding onto his neck, I was just very skeptical, like thinking, oh, okay, I'm not sure if this guy's working, just because he, recently had this injury, or this is legitimate. Like, you gotta love if he was just doing it as a sell, then that's okay. I mean, the guy's doing a massively good job, but if he's legitimate hurt, you got to be very worried for a guy like that.
Yeah, and historically there have been performers who've worked injured, and I think, look, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Brock wrestled with a broken neck, or was it Kurt Angle?
No, it was Kurt Angle, but that was at the Olympics. Brock did something very similar, but he. Oh man,
maybe he was severely concussed or something against.
He was,
Angle.
and that was the WrestleMania 19 where he did a shooting star press, missed Angle. No, I wouldn't say he completely missed Angle, but he didn't time it right and landed on his neck, And in the documentary on WrestleMania 20, which is ironically called WrestleMania the movie, he talks that he does not remember one thing after that happened. And
Jesus.
if you go back and watch that bump, Brock is so lucky because you got to remember this guy weighed 300 pounds, maybe more at that point, and he landed on his neck like that, and all he got was a concussion. He is so lucky, man.
Yeah, he's superhuman. The guy's just a genetic freak, and yeah, I mean, look, I mean, he ended up being fine and continuing to work, but yeah, like you were saying with Gargano, it's kind of worrisome because they sort of go very full pelt in NXT. You know, their matches are, you know, filled with really painful looking bumps. They, you know, Orton sort of, you know, likes to dig into them about this and likes to say that, yeah, they're going to shorten their careers. And look, you know, they may, but, you know, hopefully they're getting really well looked after. I was really taken by this particular quarter. The pace again had quickened, because at this point everyone else starts getting on the scoreboard with pinfalls. You know, like, you know, you saw that Ciampa was going for he actually did score the Willow's Bell on Balor and then got the fairy tale ending, but as he was meant to go for the pin, Gargano jumps in, throws Ciampa out of the ring, and then he ends up stealing the pin. There are other sequences that really sort of, you know, got my attention even more. There was the part where Ciampa went for a fairy tale ending on Cole. Cole managed to sneak out and super kick him. Balor does yet another. This is probably the second crappy sling blade that I'd seen. I don't really like how he does the sling blade. It just doesn't look like he catches it entirely. But anyways, he did that on Cole. Went for the John Woo shotgun drop kick, and he gets super kicked in the face. Gargano
is that what it's actually called, the John Woo's drop kick? Because like
I read that on 411 Mania, so I just call it that now. But yeah, it's a shotgun drop kick, and
because I'm about to say, where did this? Because you're not the first one to say this. Where the hell did that come from? Like what John Woo movie did that? Like, I just don't get it.
No, like I think it means to refer to it as being like a shotgun blast. So yeah, they just associate guns with John Woo, so hence John Woo dropkick.
Okay, yeah, all right, kids. When you're gonna think of terms for new moves and stuff, just pick something that actually makes sense. Because us old timers just cannot keep up with you.
Well, coming back to it, so you know he goes for that
John
Woo drop kick that you love, but he cops a super kick. Then Gargano tries his slingshot spear from the outside into the ring, and he eats a super kick like as he's leapt in, which looked awesome. So Cole then does the Panama Sunrise to Gargano and gets the third pinfall of the match. But then shortly after that, you get Ciampa doing the double Willow's Bell, and that's to Cole and Gargano. And then he does the fairy tale ending on Cole, scores the fourth pinfall. So this is the part where I'm a bit more like, okay, look, now it's all evened out. They're all lying on the ground except for Balor, who's outside. They all eventually get back to their feet, and then there are four people in the ring again. They're all looking a little bit more exhausted at that point. But then commentary jumps in, and this is probably like where WWE tends to do this quite a lot, but you know, they signpost it. They make things obvious for the viewer. They say, oh, yeah, you know, like they're all back to the start again because they're all at one pinfall each. And you're like, okay, I get that. I already know that. But, you know, at this point, did you sort of start thinking, yeah, this is getting too predictable now?
I don't think it was getting too predictable. I'd say it was getting predictable. But the only thing that did get under my skin about this, it's the same trope with a lot of their matches. When they do Iron Man or Iron Woman or, you know, whatever, it's either there has not been any pinfalls, or they're at the even mark. So there's no real clear cut winner at this point. You know, it may not be that bad to some people. To me, it's a trope that I don't like. I like to see the Cinderella story. You know, where they might be down two pinfalls. Or, you know, might be down 5 or whatever, you know, but they still got time. But that's the only thing I didn't like about it. But I thought they were going to be doing. Well, at this point, I thought they were going to be doing what happened with the Michaels and Bret Hart one. They're gonna leave it balanced until the time ended. But
that one, correct me if I'm wrong. That one ended with just one pinfall, and it was Michaels winning.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay,
But
so
they went into overtime.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I definitely need to get onto watching that. But
You've not watched it?
No, I haven't seen that one. Yeah, I actually haven't seen any Iron Man matches. I think I may have mentioned that earlier. But yeah, this is the first one for me, and it's.
No, I thought you were meant you've only ever watched that one. I thought you'd seen that, so that's why
I know of them, but remember, I do have a ton of wrestling DVDs that I buy, but I just never seem to be able to watch.
Yeah.
I do need to change that, and I think being an ISO is going to help that. So yeah, I'll get onto it.
So what's I find at this point, because I think Orton's comments prior has sort of affected this match, because you don't really see that much super kicks now compared to some of the other matches I've seen all these guys do, and it did feel really good, but obviously now we're getting to the final stages and the super kicks. Well, the super kick party started basically.
Yeah, I was tracking that. I really like that spot. So there was the bit where Gargano and Cole are outside the ring while Balor and Ciampa are inside the ring.
Yeah,
and they're all sort of having that slugfest. But then Gargano and Cole calling back on their history. So they know each other's attacks so well, but then they end up mirroring each other. And so, they punch each other once, punch each other twice, and then they go for a super kick, and they end up doing like the hook kicks to the back of each other's head, and then they both fall down. I like that, but sometimes, yeah, like, and I've seen this before, or I've heard this before, that in a lot of promotions, a lot of matches, there is such a thing as too many super kicks. And like sometimes you're like getting into it, and it there are a lot of factors, like you need the crowd, you need maybe commentary if you're watching from home, but yeah, like sometimes, yeah, like there can be a bit too much of a good thing. But yes, look, having said that, I'm just going to chalk that up to this was just something from creative or from the performers when they were deciding what they wanted to do. I mean, it's part of their arsenals now, so it's sort of too far back out.
All four of them are known for doing some variation of the super kick. So I mean, eventually it was going to happen. It's just you're right. There can be a bit of too much of a good thing. I think when Cole started super kicking everybody, I think that's when it really became ridiculous.
That's when the thigh slapping comes into it a lot more.
No. And this is how bad the production was for this episode. There were a lot of times, not when it was live, but when they did the replay, you could actually see the hand slap in full view. And I'm just when I saw that, I just started to say to myself, "Where's Randy Orton's tweet? I got to look through and see what he's saying right now." You know what I mean?
Well, look. Apart from that, there's nothing sloppy in this. This is crisp all the way throughout, and that's something that I noted down multiple times when I was watching. There are no missed kicks. There are no missed punches. All of the work, with the exception. Look, I'm going to have to say, I am a hater. I'm going to cop crap for this, but I really don't like Finn Balor's sling blade. Like that is a tiny, tiny gripe in the grand scheme of this entire match. I mean, it sort of peters out towards the end of the third quarter, and then when you get into the final quarter, that's when it sort of picks up again. But I don't think that they really capture that momentum they had leading up to everyone getting a pinfall each.
Well, the funny you say that, because like at this point now, I'm just like I've already I tapped in and I said, okay, they're going to go into overtime, and I just kept thinking, okay, I'll probably say the last maybe 8 minutes of the match, I felt were filler. Honestly, in all honesty, I felt like it was a filler, but because. I think because when I was watching it, in my mind already, I'm like, it's going to go into overtime. So I was just like, okay, they got to do stuff to get it in. The moment Balor gets the pin, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so that's that's like so they have another commercial break towards the end, and so this is where we're getting into 5 minutes remaining mark, and that's probably where a lot of it sort of picks up again. You know,
But this is also the bad thing about not having a crowd, but because the old days is and AEW are renowned for doing this now, and I hate to name drop AEW, but this is something that they do very well. When they do time matches, you know, they would go with the microphone, 10 minutes remaining, 5 minutes remaining. There wasn't any of that. It was only through the commentators that were doing that, and I felt, even though that this is, you know, we know that there's not really that many fans there, they should have done something like that, because I just think it was this lazy booking. Because it's just like, if you wanted to have a good show and still have that feel that, you know, nothing has changed, they should have done that, and they didn't.
Like the crowd just needed to be more on fire, you mean?
The crowd needed to be on fire, but they just need to utilize the tools that they had, and you know, like not using the microphones to illustrate things. I mean, you know, at the end, just hate to cut straight, you know, part of the story, but you know, towards the end, you know, when William Regal comes out, and they don't even put a mic, it's just his voice over, even though it's not you know, like a full packed crowd. You look at places like the other ones, like SmackDown and Raw, they still give him a mic. It just felt lazy.
This is probably where I'm not going to say that it lost me completely. I did see what they were trying to do. So, you know, if we go back to this particular sequence, so Ciampa's like firmly in control. It's the last 90 seconds of the match. They're, you know, calling back to the fact that, you know, he's the man who never lost the NXT championship. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, he goes to put Gargano out of his misery. He hits the air raid crash from the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
But then, just when, you know, he wants to try and like roll over to get the pin, Balor ends up delivering the coup de grace on him. So he gets the second pinfall of the match. But then, you know, and this is another thing that, this is something that I felt like I wanted to bring up. The camera work was really poor. So, you know, we're now entering the last 10 seconds of the match.
Yep.
Cole somehow sneaks in. You don't even see him. You only see part of him. And then he delivers the last shot to Balor. Yeah, or maybe like his leg or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he gets the second pinfall, gets the 3 count, and the end result, once the timer goes out, is that it is a draw. Both Balor and Cole sit with 2 pinfalls apiece. So there's no result. And even then, it just sort of goes weirdly silent.
And then they say, I'm the champion.
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
yeah.
you know, I think commentary were like, you know, what just happened? Cole's like, yep, you know, he's boasting that he's the new NXT champ. And then there's just this awkward silence on the episode. And you're like, what is going on? You know, they've got a still screen showing that they're about to do a replay, but then they don't talk during this period. And then, you know, it takes a little while before the replay gets going. They're like, let's go back. And then they show a replay with a better angle of Cole doing the last shot. So maybe the way they were trying to present it was, oh, okay, look, in all the confusion, you know, we weren't sure what happened. So yeah, we were trying to clarify it, and this is what happened.
Was this live or was this taped?
I think it was live.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
Because I'm about to say, if this was taped, surely they could have fixed it.
Yeah,
but if it's live, okay, fair enough.
And then you know, yeah, like you said, you know, Regal gets in, and then he announces that next Tuesday, Cole and Balor are going to face each other, and it'll be one fall to the finish. You know, and you know, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate this moment, but I think what saved it for me was Cole just going, thank you, like he was saying thank you to Regal while he was still fired up, and, you know, talking crap to Balor, and Balor was the same. So, you know, they're told save your energy for next Tuesday, and then that closes out the show. I think the way that they presented it, like with all the confusion and stuff, it felt, I'm going to say that it felt forced.
Oh yeah, definitely did. I felt that way.
You know, like it ended up having a bit of a, I mean, like when I'd read about it later on, like, you know, some people were saying that it felt like a very flat finish, and I didn't mind it, but at the same time, I didn't love it. So,
well, let me tell you how I would have booked it at the ending, because it felt very flat. But there were 2 ways that this could have ended in a really interesting way. And I felt that they were kind of trying to do it, but like maybe Cole may have missed his cue. But the way it could have been done is because Gargano was laid out, Ciampa was laid out. They could have pinned them both at the same time, and then all of a sudden, bang! Like they get up and about to hit, get each other, and then the time runs out. That's the first scenario that could have happened, right? The second one is they could have done exactly the same what's happened here. It could have gone into a 5-minute overtime just with Cole and Balor. Because literally they were gassed, but they didn't do that because they want to set up, to get more ratings, obviously for the following week.
Yeah, because as we now know, this is actually night one of what's going to be a two night event. Because next week is going to be Super Tuesday too, and
which they just came out of left field. It's just like, what? Why? and it's annoying because like it feels like it's like last minute booking, and unfortunately that's the kind of product that we are getting from WWE at the moment, where it is a lot of the time last minute booking, and it's not a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a good thing either. Like this one was, everyone was really psyched to see someone get crowned. Now we have to wait another week, but it just, the ending could have been a lot better. But hats off to the guys for doing it, because they looked incredibly gassed after that.
If Cross hadn't have separated his shoulder or whatever it was, we wouldn't have even gotten this match. So look, seeing this match.
So let's blame Cross for this.
Well, it's not a travesty. I think it was pretty rewarding to see this because it's like pitting these four against each other.
It was a fantastic match.
Yeah,
and it's just when you get endings like that, you just feel like, why, to some degree you feel like, why did I bother watching this? But and I don't mean, I just mean that it's just because just for that ending, not for the whole entire match, just for that ending. But as a whole, the match was great, I think.
Yeah, look, would we give it a rating today, or are we going to wait until we see the next match?
Let's give it a rating. Like I'd say it's cool. I'd probably give it maybe 3.5 out of 5 on this one.
I'm actually
it wasn't a 5-star star match, but I think it's because like I incorporate everything into it. Production, crowd, commentary, wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean I'm a tough critic to please sometimes, so.
All right.
Yeah, but this is a fantastic match.
I actually rated it the same, 3.5 out of 5. I just felt that all throughout it was incredibly crisp. There were some spots where it sort of just dipped in terms of what was going on. So, like where they really slowed down the momentum, or, just like where they were doing some filler, like you said. And I think that is greatly outweighed by the fact that there were so many sequences peppered throughout where they had, like a lot of really cool sequences, just, like playing into the fact that these guys know each other so well. So yeah, you'd see quite a lot of movement leading up to, some beautifully delivered finishers.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think about the crowd throughout this entire thing because, like in this COVID environment, we don't really have crowds happening as well. So, that was sort of like a not considered sort of factor for me. But maybe subconsciously that sort of played into it because, even though there were so many good sequences throughout this entire match, I didn't actually feel like I was on the edge of my seat. Like it didn't really have me thinking, like it didn't have me thinking, like they really need to speed this up, they need to hurry it along, or like someone needs to like get that pinfall, whatever. Really good matches do that to you. This one didn't do that, even though I really liked the work throughout. And this is just me again, but I just wish that Balor would be able to hit the sling blade better. It is such a minor gripe, but I just need to say that because every time I see him do it, I'm like, dude, you need to take notes from Tanahashi. But even now, like Tanahashi doesn't hit it that well these days.
I feel like one day if we ever go to a WWE live event, and let's say the Prince does hear us, talk about this, and he realizes who we are. So, want to talk about my moves? Do you want to get in the ring?
He's just going to keep... Yeah, I really don't think I'd want to encounter him now. but look, there's some really good stuff here. I mean, there was the whole Bullet Club tease. There was another tease of Ciampa and Gargano having unfinished business. So, I think it sets things up quite well for an NXT without a proper champion right now with Cross. And yeah, I mean, booking wise, we'll have to wait and see what happens next week. But what are your thoughts on where they could go for next week at the very least?
I think it'll be a smart move to put Balor as the champion, because he was one of the very first champions in NXT, and I think with the way that they're trying to build Cole, whether they're trying to make him face or not, I think it would make him more. What's the word? I think it more aggressive if he doesn't win. So I think that's how I would book it. Whether it's going to go that way or not, I don't know. Because no one in the Undisputed Era has got any gold around them, so I think they're going to keep it like that. And there's even rumors that they're going to break up the Undisputed Era. So
okay,
I think that would be the beginning. So how I book it is he didn't win, so the rest of the guys say, if you can't win a match like this, you're out of the Undisputed Era, or something like that. that's how I would do it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was thinking, I think Balor is going to win it next week, and I just think that if they're taking into account what they've the groundwork that they've laid. Well, you might remember this, but yeah, he was saying that after his heel turn, he was saying that his future is his past. So, I'm thinking that he's finally going to get the NXT championship. In terms of booking, I don't know who he's going to face next, but I can't imagine him being the champ and not facing Cross once Cross returns.
Yeah, but Cross could be out for 6 months.
Yeah, well,
that's the problem.
They had Cole as quite a long champion, so I think they could see Balor carrying it for 6 months or more. And yeah, I never saw his work as the Demon, but given that Cross, they had a lot of sort of supernatural elements to his character, I think, yeah, you probably see the Demon versus Cross down the track.
Yeah, that can work. He said he's not going to do it anymore unless it's for special occasions. So, I like the Demon character. Don't get me wrong, but it's been done, and it's. I reckon they have to work on something new for Finn. So, yeah, if he never suits up again as a Demon, I've got no problem with that. I just reckon he's a very talented wrestler, and I think I'm not saying he needs a new gimmick. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he needs something new to do. So
okay.
whether it's, and this just comes with me, watching wrestling the majority of my life. He either would need it's either a new attire, new theme song, or a new finisher. And I think that would elevate him again. Because whenever you do something like that, I remember when Triple H turned heel after he left DX, first thing he did was the changing of the theme. Second thing he did, he changed his attire. He was wearing like pants, and then he was down to the Speedos. And that was and that sort of changed his look and his persona. So I think that's what they would probably have to do to make Balor go to that next level.
Yep. Okay. I've actually never seen him in his matches where he's been the Demon. So I'm gonna have to track that stuff down too.
Yeah, definitely.
I felt this silence from you, and I was just thinking in my head, oh great.
No,
he's thinking, God damn it, he really needs to watch this stuff.
Oh, there's so many things you need to watch, and it's really hard for me to take you seriously as a wrestling fan sometimes when you go, damn. I never watched Mick Foley's time in ECW or Japan. I never seen a match with the Demon. Oh damn! I don't even know who. There's so many things you asked me. I don't want to embarrass you anymore, but there's so many things that he has ask me, and I'm just like, how is it that you don't know these people have seen these matches? You know what I mean? So, but you know, like I'm here to support you, brother. So that's
it's part of my ongoing education. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, look, I think that
and sadly, I'm your teacher. So,
well, someone's got to be.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm thinking that like, you know, well, if Balor is going to be champ, maybe they can start looking at ways to expand on the teasers that they had, that there wasn't uniformity in the ranks of the Undisputed Era. I mean, there have been times in the past where Cole's been a real dick towards Roddy Strong. Yep. And that might have been about when Strong still hadn't captured the North American title.
That was before. That was, if I remember correctly, about 2 months before he captured that.
Yeah, and then
could be wrong.
Well, then the next time that he'd kind of stuffed the rest of the Undisputed Era was most recently in the lead up to him having the TakeOver 30 match against Pat McAfee.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, it looks like
a horrible feud.
Well, it looked like he costed Fish and O'Reilly the tag team championship. So I think that's probably a storyline thread that they could.
And that could be the reason why they're trying to turn him face, because, you know, stuff like this.
But either way, like, I'm down for it. I'm down to see where they go with this, and yeah, I mean, we'll be talking about this stuff next week when we see the outcome of Balor versus Cole.
That's right. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Find us on Twitter at whatifitscool. If you're trying to find a new place to find us to listen to, you can find us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and of course on iTunes. While you're there, make sure you leave us a review and share the hell out of it, so we can get more listeners. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button there, so you can get up to dates whenever we upload a new episode, or just some random videos I decide to put up there. So just keep that support going for us, because we appreciate everything that you guys do for us. So until next time, folks, we'll catch you on the next cast.
Thanks again, Dan. Peace, man.
Peace, man. I'll see you soon.